So, let me get organized here. Welcome to my corner of the universe. I'm Ava, and this is the Church of Ultimate Happiness. It is our only doctrine and our only aim in this little church. Oh, that's my kitty cat of ours. As I said in our first broadcast, what I'd like to do is point out various means, ways, spiritual paths that could lead us to a state of happiness, ultimate happiness, and self-understanding and wisdom, knowing better who we are as spiritual beings. And I intended to, with you and I together, explore with some of my favorite gurus, as I said, most of whom are dead, but there are some who are alive, explore their wisdom and their teaching and see if we can together get a better understanding of how we can create a state of peace and ultimate goodness and happiness in our life. That's all. And last time I said that what I'd like to do is to start at the more fundamental thing. The fundamental thing is your body. It is your most immediate means by which to explore who you are by becoming more acquainted with your body, making it as healthy and as responsive to your needs, both those are everyday needs, but even higher spiritual needs. Well, the body can be absolutely a miracle of healing and a means by which you can begin to appreciate a spirit, because the body, as I told you in the last our last session, is also a spiritual being. But this time, after thinking about it, I decided that we should immediately explore the ideas concerning meditation, because the physical body is most helped initially by meditation, by at least 30 minutes a day of meditation. And I'm a yoga teacher, and I have a long life experience with the benefits of meditation in reducing stress and in thereby strengthening our immune system so that the body can always be healthy. But in this book, which is called A Master Guide to Meditation and Spiritual Growth by Eugene Davis, he takes, I think, a very practical and down-to-earth approach to the subject of meditation. So I'd like to start with him. And this chapter is called The Life-Enhancing Benefits of Contemplative Meditation and Intentional Living. Living with intent. To contemplate is to look at, to examine, to meditate on something for the purpose of discovery. So you've meditated many times, even probably during the day you meditate. Because if you want to discover something or know something or figure something out, you have to examine it and look at it intently. This is what meditation is. It's not a foreign state of mind. When meditation or when concentration progresses to undisturbed meditation, and meditation results in awakening, which provides insight, one's practice of contemplative meditation then is successful. So he's saying that when concentration progresses to undisturbed meditation, when your ability to focus results in a completely undisturbed witnessing, ideally of your being, of your beingness, then you're successful, so he says. And I agree. For this process to be facilitated, the meditator needs to be alert and attentive. I tell my students that all the time. You need to sit up straight, spine straight, whether you do that in a chair or whether you do that with your legs folded in front of you, or like I am, simply with some cushions around me to support the body. The spine needs to be straight because the body relies on the spine for energy, and very much like it were, as if it were a trunk of a tree. And the energy flows through that trunk when that trunk is beautifully straight up and down. And it helps you stay alert so you don't fall asleep as well. Well, let's move on. So he's saying partially conscious or passive participation in meditation practice will not produce satisfactory results. So yes, you have to be totally alert. This is unlike sleep, which you can often benefit also by its power to release stress and fatigue. But in meditation, we do that while we're totally conscious. So until the late 20th century, most people interested in learning about the effects of meditation had to rely on their own experimental endeavors or evaluate anecdotal accounts professed by others who claimed knowledge of the subject. Personal experience, though, is the best teacher. But of course, it requires time and careful analysis of what is experienced or apprehended. So you do have to have time to analyze what happens to you, what you experience during meditation. This is very crucial so that you can keep a mental note of your progress and the effects of various states of consciousness. So, For the past several decades, scientific research and volunteer meditators have revealed that contemplative meditation properly regularly practiced confers many life-enhancing benefits, some of which we're going to get to later. Keep in mind that personal responses to meditative and beneficial unfoldments, which can be actualized or almost always more immediate and satisfying when meditation practice is included in a balanced program of conscious, intentional living. Ever alert to the importance of being purposeful, all of our endeavors should be chosen with knowledge of why we're implementing them. Actions will then be chosen which are essential to our purposes, and actions which are not can be disregarded. This approach greatly simplifies our lives, providing opportunities for personal fulfillment and spiritual enrichment in the most efficient manner. So, you have to be very intentional, purposeful with meditation, not just going through the motions. That will determine the speed at which you gain the benefits of yoga and yogic meditation. Contemplative meditation provides deep conscious rest. Conscious rest. This is important. And renewal. So in other words, again, sleeping certainly provides that for you, but you know, people don't sleep as well as they ought to. They don't get the type of deep, relaxed REM sleep, and even sleep without REM, which is the kind of sleep that totally rejuvenates you. People often aren't able to go that deep. They're very light sleepers, and meditation would be profoundly beneficial for them as well. As meditation progresses, breathing becomes slower and more refined, and tranquil calm becomes the prevailing mental condition, providing the meditator deeper conscious rest and renewal than that which occurs during ordinary sleep. The body's life forces become balanced, contributing to organized function of the entire physical system. That's how profound an effect a well instituted, well established meditation program in your life can have on your physical well-being. It can be, it can release you from the enormous pressures psychological, mental pressures that ultimately are translated into the body. The body, again, is subservient to the mind. And if you take care of your mental well-being, then the body will respond also and will become disease-free. Because of physical disturbances, emotional distress, or irregular sleeping habits, many people do not get the rest they need when they sleep, which is what I was saying. The results may be low energy reserves, moodiness, depression, irritability, confusion, mental confusion, poor concentration, inefficient work performance. Any of this sound familiar yet? Accident-prone behavior, and lower resistance to disease and illness. Basically, you see, meditation so much goes to the heart of what causes a disease that it is, in my estimation, the first thing you should try to establish in your daily routine. Certainly there's exercise, certainly you have to eat well, and certainly you have to keep a fairly ethical lifestyle so that you don't put extra pressure or stress on yourself unnecessarily. Oh yes, he mentions that meditation doesn't replace sleep. So it's not meant to do that. But because meditation doesn't have the multitude of other mental dimensional states that dreaming has. But it certainly does have the stress release healing properties of sleep. Anyway. So, yes, meditation does not replace sleep, but 1 or 2 short meditation sessions a day will enliven the body, energize the mind, and contribute to improved performance of all your activities. So that regular hours of sleep can be an interlude of undisturbed rest that is physically and mentally restorative. As meditation results in the unfoldment of superconscious states, which can persist even during normal waking hours, one's regular hours of sleep may be occasioned by episodes of being conscious while the body and mind rests. The gaps between levels of consciousness become less defined, and one may experience lucid perceptions of being conscious, of being consciousness, of being conscious. So, during sleep and of abiding in the ethereal now, while simultaneously being aware of infinite oneness. This is the ultimate goal of meditation, is to release you from mundane, normal mind associations, mind preoccupations, and to give you glimpses into the other dimensions of your own being, so that you can discover the multidimensional aspect of who you are. And that will engender in your life such excitement, such feelings of utter joy and appreciation for your life and for who you are. And it starts with just some moments alone, a half an hour a day, where you sit quietly. It's a good idea to have a quiet space where there's no phones ringing or people coming in disturbing you, where you can have a lighting system that is not harsh, and where you know that you'll be undisturbed for the entire time, whether that's 15 minutes, but it's recommended that it be at least a half an hour, if possible, once or twice a day. Contemplative meditation reduces stress and its debilitating effects, all the debilitating effects of stress, all the disease producing effects of stress, and there's just a multitude of them. Because of deep relaxation and the psychological and physiological changes that occur during meditation, physical tension and mental anxiety fade as stress is reduced. An examination of blood lactate levels before and after meditation reveals a reduction of those levels, which are usually higher when one is in a fight or flight physical psychological state. A common condition for people who feel it necessary to struggle to survive, or who perceive threats to their well-being from real or imagined sources. This is a very common and modern syndrome, that people are stressed when there's absolutely nothing around them that could produce this stress. There's nothing overtly dangerous or threatening to them individually, but the mind itself creates this state of threat, or they perceive a threat psychologically, a threat to their job, a threat to their survival, a threat to their well-being. So yes, that is a modern, completely modern state of being, which is why so many people are, they turn to Xanax, or I don't know what that's it, Zoltran, or whatever those, I don't know the names of these medications for depression. Valium, maybe. I don't take them, obviously, so. Yes, the struggle to survive. That's the state of mind, state of being that people are in. And it's that state that meditation is a cure for, is a remedy, is a solution to. Even if one is not presently interested in spiritual growth, meditation practiced for 20 or 30 minutes once or twice a day for the stress-reducing effects greatly improve mental attitude and physical function, all physical functions, and make it easier to accomplish purposes and to simply enjoy your life. The life-suppressing effects of hypertension are well documented. Common symptoms are high blood pressure, migraine headaches, interference with normal functioning of the physical system in general. These symptoms, often vanish once a regular meditation routine has been established. And I can attest to that, absolutely. Now, he warns, do not make the mistake of falsely assuming that meditation practice is a cure-all. Of course it isn't. If the services of a healthcare professional are needed, then avail yourself of qualified assistance. So he's being cautious here. And yes, a good diet, exercise, and meditation are though fundamental to well-being. Fundamental. Behavior related to biochemical influences is more actively being investigated at research centers around the world, and that's true, finally. Some fairly recent discoveries indicate that certain genetic defects can cause abnormal levels of serotonin and or adrenaline, which in turn can influence your behavior. Originating in the midbrain, these chemicals they're referred to as neurotransmitters. These enable cells in other parts of the brain to talk to each other by carrying messages between cells. Serotonin, the brain's master impulse modulator for emotions and drives, especially helps control aggression. And noradrenaline is the alarm hormone, triggered when danger to oneself is recognized or perceived, at least, quote, perceived as real. And organizes the brain to respond by signaling the production of adrenaline and other chemicals. So adrenaline is made by the brain in response to a perception of danger. If you're at a job in which there's a lot of competition and you're made to feel that you're always having to perform, well, this can be highly stressful on you. And this is a perceived threat to your job, and therefore to your security, and therefore your survival. It could be as easy to be in a situation in which you feel threatened as that. Just your working day environment could create excess adrenaline and thereby stress. When serotonin levels are lowered and noradrenaline levels are elevated in susceptible people exposed to environmental stresses, such as maybe violent circumstances or, say, alcohol use, a tendency towards violent activity may result. So if you have a lot of adrenaline in your system and you drink a violent, or you're exposed to violent circumstances, then yes, you may in fact become violent because of these two. So it has a multitude of dire effects on the body. Low levels of serotonin are believed to be related to depression, suicidal impulses, impulsive aggression, addictive behaviors, compulsive behaviors, and fearfulness. And also a lack of self-confidence and subdued levels of assertiveness, when you're so retiring that you can't engage socially at a normal level. That's also a symptom of it. So there are many symptoms. Low levels of adrenaline are believed to be related to increasing tendencies towards premeditated acts of violence or thrill seeking, while high levels may be related to over-arousal of emotions, a tendency again towards impulsive behavior, passionate acts of violence, and rapid heartbeat. So these discoveries can provide some insight into human behavior. We must also remember that we are more than physical creatures. And this is beautiful. We have to remember that we're more than physical creatures. We're spiritual, mind, body events occurring in space-time. Isn't that beautiful? We cannot deny the effects of brain chemistry and hormonal influences on our physiology and emotions when we are body-mind identified. For we have all experienced them. If we're human, we've experienced all those things. We should know, however, that there are ways to restore the body to a state of balance by self-determined adjustment of mental attitude. By self-determined adjustment of mental attitude, moods, and behaviors. Choosing to meditate is making a choice of a mental attitude you'd like to assume. And by choosing a food plan most suitable for our basic constitution, and by adhering to a sensible program of exercise, rest, intentional living, purposeful living, and spiritual practices. A purely physical approach to behavior modification too often proceeds from a limited self-view that contributes to our believing that we are primarily effects of body chemistry and environmental circumstances and conditions. When we choose instead to be more conscious, to be more knowledgeable, we can discover that spirit is superior to mind and body. That mental and physical can be adjusted and organized, and that choices can be made in relationship to behaviors which can beneficially influence body chemistry and restore it to balance. Working from the top down. When you take a pill, you try to work from the bottom up. That's a lazy man's way of doing it, and it never works. Meditation can be a foundation practice that enhances spiritual awareness and directly influences mind and body in entirely constructive ways, and empowers us to knowledgeable, self-determined actions. So, I don't want to be too long. I'd like you simply to listen to this and to try to absorb what's been said, because if you want to establish a meditation program in your life, you have to convince yourself of its necessity in your life. You have to want it. And what we've talked about right now are the reasons to practice meditation. And then when we come back, I'll go with you through some of the procedures that you can use to start. But I just wanted to briefly start you thinking about it. And so, thank you very much for coming to my corner of the universe and to my Church of Ultimate Happiness. Thank you, and namaste.